If there's one person in Silicon Valley who truly understands the raw power of an acquisition, it's Mark Zuckerberg. For years, his business model has been brutally effective. Identify a competitor growing too fast and simply buy them out. That's the playbook he used to acquire Instagram for a cool $1 billion. It's how he snagged WhatsApp for a staggering $19 billion. But back in 2013, Zuckerberg, the ultimate digital predator, made a critical error in judgment, a moment of hubris that today costs his empire billions and traps him in a relentless battle for the future of attention. This is the story of how Meta made the wrong move by refusing to pay the price. By 2013, Facebook was already a titan. It had conquered the mobile world and completely dominated the adult demographic. But in a quiet corner of the internet, an app called Snapchat was exploding. Founded by a young man named Evan Spiegel, it was growing at a terrifying rate, especially among teenagers. The concept was deceptively simple yet utterly disruptive. Messages that disappeared. Snapchat wasn't about building a permanent, polished timeline of your life. It was about spontaneity, authenticity, and the kind of in-the-moment fun that Facebook's carefully curated walls just couldn't offer anymore. For Zuckerberg, Snapchat's meteoric rise was a blaring red alarm. He knew that the youth audience was the lifeblood of social media, the very future of attention, and Snapchat was capturing it. Without hesitation, Zuckerberg went on the attack. His first move was to try and replicate Snapchat's ephemeral messaging with a standalone app of his own called Poke. It was a complete and utter flop, a humiliating failure that users mocked and ignored. With his cloning strategy temporarily dead in the water, Zuckerberg moved to Plan B, acquisition. In a private, high-stakes meeting, the Facebook team laid their cards on the table. The offer, $3 billion in cash. Now, let's put this in perspective. In 2013, $3 billion for a company with no significant revenue and no clear path to profitability was an astronomical sum. It was an offer designed to be impossible to refuse. But Evan Spiegel, Snapchat's young and audacious CEO, had the vision, or perhaps what some saw as the madness, to say no. Spiegel didn't see Snapchat's value in its current revenue streams. He saw its value in its revolutionary potential, in its deep cultural connection with an entire generation. He understood that owning the teenage demographic was an asset more valuable than any dollar amount. Turning down a $3 billion offer from the most powerful company on the planet was unheard of. It was a move of incredible defiance. Spiegel believed his company was worth far, far more, and he was willing to bet everything on that belief. The rejection was more than just a business setback for Zuckerberg. It was a personal affront. It infuriated him. To his mind, it was an insult to his power, a challenge to his throne. If Snapchat wouldn't sell, then Zuckerberg's internal rule was clear: destroy them. And this is where the crucial, landscape-altering mistake was made. The decision not to raise the offer, to maybe $4 or $5 billion, was Meta's single biggest wrong move. Zuckerberg, blinded by his own confidence, believed that with his army of engineers and near-limitless resources, he could simply copy Snapchat's features and crush them into oblivion. He fundamentally failed to understand that Snapchat's real defense wasn't its technology. It was its culture. What followed that rejection was an all-out war. Zuckerberg unleashed an unprecedented cloning offensive across his entire family of apps. His most successful weapon was the Stories feature on Instagram, a near-perfect carbon copy of Snapchat's signature format. This move was a body blow, and it did manage to slow down Snapchat's growth in many international markets. For a while, it looked like Facebook had won. The giant had seemingly crushed the upstart, but Snapchat didn't die. It survived. By bravely resisting the buyout, Snapchat cemented its identity as the cool, authentic alternative to Meta's sprawling corporate empire. It became the rebel. And while Meta had successfully copied the technology of Stories, Snapchat kept innovating. It pushed forward with groundbreaking augmented reality filters, creating immersive and playful experiences that kept its young audience fiercely loyal and engaged. They weren't just using an app, they were part of a movement. Today, the cost of that 2013 miscalculation is astronomical. The company Zuckerberg could have bought for just $3 billion is now Snap Inc., a public company that, at its peak, reached a market capitalization of over $130 billion. What could have been a strategic asset is now a constant drain on Meta's resources, forcing them to spend billions every year just to compete against a rival they helped empower. More importantly, Snapchat's continued existence has forced Meta onto the defensive. It's a key reason Meta has had to pivot so drastically, pouring massive sums into a speculative future like the metaverse. They are constantly fighting on the front lines for young attention against a rival that simply refused to go away. This is the war they could have avoided. The story of Zuckerberg's failed conquest is a powerful lesson. It teaches us that sometimes the smartest, and in the long run, the cheapest, decision is to pay what feels like an overprice to neutralize an existential threat. Zuckerberg put his faith in his ability to copy and crush, but he learned the hard way that in the world of technology, battles for culture and generational loyalty are not won with code alone. Because of that one moment of ego and misjudgment, Zuckerberg ensured that his primary rival for the youth market would not only survive but thrive, growing into a constant nagging reminder that not all threats can be cloned, bought, or eliminated. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the biggest stories in tech and business. We'll see you in the next one.